Why has not a branded movement emerged against this yet? A way for us to stand together to say yes to equality, but no to overcategorizing humans or shutting down ideas and speech, pointing out the warnings that history has given us. This would provide us strength in numbers. This is a terrific question.
Yep.
And, I don't know that this is the right answer at all. And at the very least, it's only a part of the right answer. But I think that many of us who are most loud at the moment also have a real aversion to branding and promotion and self-promotion and such, and are doing it insofar as we feel the need but don't like it at all. And so it might be easier to get behind this if it was for a movement as opposed to individuals. But I also don't know, none of us are expert in what kind of logistical thing that would require. So but maybe the question is, why hasn't it emerged organically?
Well, I think it is emerging organically.
Okay.
I think we just don't know enough to see it.
But it doesn't have a Chaz chop. It doesn't have
I have declared a part of the garden autonomous. I don't know if you noticed the sign I put up.
I didn't.
No.
No,
well,
the slugs must have eaten it.
No. So here's what I would say. IDW was clearly partially an answer to this puzzle. IDW was about figuring out how to continue to have reasoned discussion on topics where that was supposed to be ruled out by these various Kafka traps. And it was wildly successful. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough what it was like to be on stage, for example, in Vancouver with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris, and look out for 2 consecutive nights at an audience of 3,000 people who you wouldn't have known they weren't at a rock concert if you didn't know who was on stage.
Except no one's phones were out during it.
Right.
Everyone was wrapped.
And,
amazing.
They weren't really there for the question of what is the nature of truth. They were there for something bigger. It was much more movement-like. It was much more people interested in the idea of reasoned discussion in an era of no reason. So, in any case, IDW had a part of it. I think Rebel Wisdom has a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Rebel Wisdom has been curating different conversations. Some of them don't get along all that well, but nonetheless, there's an idea that the answer to this involves juxtaposing these things and seeing if you can't get them to play nice together.
Yeah.
Right? Game B was an early version of, we've got structural problems. Is there a way to actually plausibly get from here to an alternative stable solution that is wildly more successful at accomplishing what we claim to want to accomplish?
Jamie Wheel has got part of it. Apparently he and 2 of our friends who will be familiar to some people listening are starting a podcast, Jordan Hall and Daniel Schmachtenberger.
Yep.
Along with Big Think.
Yep. So all of these entities.
But none of that is a branding, right?
Well,
we can point to these pockets of such intensely reasonable discourse that, when it comes to disagree with itself, it can confront that and say, okay, can we live with this dissonance, or must it be resolved? But in terms of there is no hashtag BLM equivalent.
Right. But so one thing that I've been thinking is that all of these things, if it is in fact true that we are going to bootstrap our way out of this terrible predicament rather than just allow the dumpster fire to happen,
mm-hmm.
then probably all those entities ought to coalesce in one way or another. And if they can coalesce, they're going to do it hopefully under a banner, right? At some level, they are all coalescing by virtue of the fact that the audience that is hungry for that kind of interaction bounces from, from the Portal to Rebel Wisdom to DarkHorse, it's
mm-hmm.
doing that trick. So the question is, what is the overarching thing? And in any case, I don't know the answer to it, but at some level, if there's a political dimension here, if we are going to try to save the Republic through a novel plan that interfaces with our existing electoral system, then maybe that flies under a banner. It occurred to me, I don't have the mug down here, but what Game B was before it was Game B was the Emancipation Party.
Mm-hmm. It's not up there?
Might be up there. But in any case, the Emancipation Party, that's a decent brand because the point is it's non-political. right? It's non-political, as IDW was non-political.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, there is room for a branding. I would be up for anything that caused the various loosely aligned populations who are following one or the other of these threads to come together and say, well, actually, you know what? We've all been sort of separately preparing for something, and it came way faster than we thought it was going to. So now what are we going to do? Can we figure out how to get along?